Set my timer. So good morning, everybody. We're back. Oh my gosh, it simultaneously seems like just yesterday we did our last season of GAKidsTV, and it also seems like it was 5 years ago. What a crazy time it's been, but we're back to talk all things plants, take our mind off of everything else that's happening out there, focus on all of the good things, all of the fun we can have. We're going back to basics. We always try new things and change things around and change formats. And this year, we're going back to, kind of what we did the first time. We're going to go over some of the lessons from the first season, get back to some basics, and we're going to have a good time. And as always, every time we've done anything like this, these shows are for you. They're not for us. They're for you. Woo! Sorry, we did a little dance there. Yeah. It's our new setup. We're just learning. Should have just left it like that and kept knocking it.
No.
It would have animated me.
I know, our battery died and we're only 3 minutes in. That's okay. This is how we work through the beginning stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're learning together. Yeah. But it's good to be back. Great to be in front of the camera again. We've been doing webinars and stuff like that. As always, working with my BFF, Brandy, always makes me happy. Even though she didn't bring me coffee today, that's okay. We'll get over it. Maybe. No, we're over it. I've actually already had enough coffee. If you guys couldn't tell, I'm pretty animated, and I'm going to go upstairs and make another one when this is done. So, with all of that being said, we're going to jump right back in. So the whole purpose of these shows, it's kind of twofold. One is get rid of the media, turn the news off, put all of those problems aside. I promise they were there before, they'll be there after. This is a break from all of that, and we're going to learn some fun things together. And we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about what is a plant. We're going to talk about good bugs, bad bugs. We're going to talk about trees. We're going to talk about how things grow. Absolutely, the weather, absolutely everything. And we're gonna go through it together. And of course, on Fridays, it's going to be GAKidsTV. On Saturdays, we have webinars every Saturday for the next 3 months. You'll find them on the homepage of the website. Free to sign up. We don't try and do anything. None of this is sales-based. It's all fun. So Brandy did amazing cover art.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She drew it on Friday when I was wearing my Hawaiian shirt, because it's Hawaiian Shirt Fridays. So enjoy this gorgeous art, because after this, it's my art. So we're going to jump right in. We're going to talk about, first and foremost, based on what this show is about, what is a plant? Okay, so plants are really diverse. Anybody out there can identify a plant. They may not know the exact type. They may not know variety, but you ask somebody, what is a plant? A tree, a lawn, a flower, tomato, any of that, correct answer. Very, very, very diverse, very, very different, but we all can identify a plant, like we all can identify an animal, like say a kangaroo. I'm getting looks from Brandy. Yeah, everybody knows what a kangaroo looks like. The big jumpy mice things from Australia, just in case you didn't know. But what exactly is a plant? So I brought some here, all very different looking, but all functionally the same. They're all a plant. And plants are constructed of 3 main elements, and that's roots, stems, and leaves. Okay? And all of those elements come into play on every plant. So we can all identify a stem, the big tall part that comes up here, leaves, what we like to sit under in the summer, and roots, things that go in the ground. Now, what does each part play in the plant? So first up, let's go from the ground up and let's talk about roots. And I know a number of people, and I found this out during my horticultural career, We all know what a stem is. We see a tree. We all know what a leaf is. Again, we look at a tree. But a lot of times we don't see the roots. Plants are already established. Or if we're planting them, we're lifting it out of soil and putting it into soil. We don't want to break it out. Roots do not like being exposed to sun and air and things like that. So, however, I have no problem doing it because we're learning. So these are roots, okay? And the primary purpose of a root is, there's actually a number of them, but one of the primary purposes is to transport nutrition, it's to anchor the plant, and it's to help with structure. So when you have a little seed like this, and it starts growing, I was going to use black, but we're not going to do that, we're going to do green. And it starts growing, well, at the same time it starts doing that, it puts out a tiny little root. And that root right away is already pulling the moisture up, and all of this is connected. So if it feels like I'm talking about roots, but I bleed into leaves, I'm going to do the same when I talk about leaves and the stem. And this root pulls water up, and it goes up the stem into the leaf to help with photosynthesis. Now, our baby seedlings are tiny little immature plants. They don't have a lot of structure. They can't go outside. Wind will blow them over. You knock them with a watering can, you can run the risk of breaking them. But as the plant grows, because of the nutrient the roots are bringing, so does the root structure. And all these root tips, okay, they've all got a point on it, and they're all pushing into the soil. And what they're doing is they're looking for fresh nutrients, and they're looking for water to send it back up into the plant. But at the same time they're doing that, they're anchoring the plant to the ground. So you've got your earth right here, and that is digging through the soil. It's not moving the soil, and it's gripping it as it goes. So if you look here, you can see all of the hairs and everything coming off the roots. All of those are helping to anchor it and grab it and pull it in. So it's really holding the plant in place. So as the plant grows and the roots do that, they're taking up more of the nutrition, more of the moisture, and adding to the structure. And then we have the stem. Okay, so again, this part. And the stem is much like our core here. All of the important stuff is inside there, and it offers protection, and it wraps around all of the veins and the capillaries and whatnot. So if we think of a tree, and there's our root system, and even though it's spring, let's go autumn style. It's a red tree. The stem is right here, and what it's doing is as the leaves undergo the photosynthesis, and we're going to get to all of this, as the leaves undergo the photosynthesis, they're pushing their sugars down to the roots. And what that's doing is it's allowing the roots to grow. Sugar equals energy. It's a building block of food. And what that does is, like it gives us energy, like I'm nice and hyper right now, it pushes it down. Then as it goes into the roots and forces them to grow, the roots send their water up here, which is an essential part of photosynthesis, and it allows that cycle to keep going. And the stem facilitates all of that. So the stem, it's like a highway. It's like all of the veins and the arteries in our body. And when you think of a tree, that's the hardest part of the tree. The roots are soft and they're fibrous and they get through. But that stem has a hard outer coating to protect it from any damage, because without it, this isn't going to happen. And the stem also gives it the structure and the protection. Something bad happens, we can run away. Oh, it's too windy, like yesterday. Oh, I'm not going to go outside. These plants don't have a choice. They have to be there. So they need that stem and the roots holding them in place. Nice and strong. So the wind blows and it moves like this, but it doesn't snap or fall over or anything like that. So that's what the stem does. It facilitates that part. And then we come to the leaves. And the primary purpose of the leaves on any plant, but especially trees, we'll talk about that, is for us to sit under on hot summer days. No, I'm just kidding. That's actually a benefit that we get out of it, but that's not the primary purpose. The tree didn't grow the leaf for us, selfish tree. No, it grew the leaves because it needs it. And what the leaves do, they actually do a few things. So the primary purpose, and we'll use a spider plant. So what you can see here is all of these plants are different. This one looks like it's made up of nothing but stems. Those are all leaves. A cactus, we don't even know what it is. Well, that is one big leaf built around a stem. We cut one open last year just to show that. So even though they're all different, they all have the purpose. And what these leaves do is they're actually there to capture the light. So the leaf is sitting there and it's just doing its thing and the sunlight hits it. And what happens, we'll get into this in 1 second, is there are parts in the cell called a chloroplast, and that's the engine for photosynthesis. So when it hits the leaf, that leaf goes, hey, I've got light now. I've got carbon dioxide. I got CO2 from the environment. So I'm breathing that in because the leaf is covered in stomata. Some people say stomato. You say stomata. I say stomato. I'm just kidding. Nobody says that. It's actually stomata. And they're tiny, tiny, tiny little holes that allows the plant to breathe. So it breathes in the CO2 and it pushes out oxygen. So now it has CO2, and then the roots down here have sent up their water, and hey presto, the leaf is now converting that light, which is the primary purpose of it, into food for the plant. So sunlight is food that the leaf processes. So much like our bellies, be it a sandwich, nom, 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 or raisin toast. Raisin toast is so.
I love raisin
I know.
toast.
It's one of those things that everybody loves, and I never buy it enough.
No.
And then when I do buy it, I eat an entire loaf in 2 days.
Yeah.
But that's a good problem to have.
It is.
As you can see, we haven't changed from our digression.
No.
Right, so it changes it into the food. So it takes the raw sunlight, the raw raisin toast, eats it, goes into our belly, processes it, and gives us carbs and sugars and proteins and everything else we need to be able to function. That's what that does there. And it pushes it down. And then another primary thing that we need to understand, we don't have enough time, so I can't go into it in too much detail, but we are going to talk about all of this week. We're going to talk more about roots and stems and leaves and all kinds of good things, is a plant cell, okay? The two biggest things that we need to know about a plant cell that it has is the chloroplast, which we just touched on. Oh, my apron came undone. And a cell wall, okay? And the cell wall adds to that structure. It's what gives the plant its rigidity. It retains water, it protects. It also gives, for want of a better word, flavor. We bite into something and we go, oh, that's delicious. Think about a big, fat, juicy tomato. Scrunch, really good. You offer that to a dog and the dog's like, oh, no, thank you. Because of what comes out of the cell wall. It is appealing to us, but it's not appealing to the dog. And all of the plants have things like that. Plants that are edible, but we don't eat them because they're very distasteful. We're like, oh, I don't like that. We can eat grass, but we're not going to enjoy it, okay? We can't break it down properly. It's not there, but it's not going to poison us. And that comes from the cell wall. And then the chloroplast is the engine. It's where it all happens. And what happens in there, the light hits, gets into the chloroplast. Now the chloroplast has got the water from the roots, and it's got that light hitting it, okay? And it's got the gas, and it changes all of that, and it gets rid of the oxygen. The oxygen is a byproduct, much like our byproduct is carbon dioxide, and it takes the sugar and it pushes it into the roots. And that's basically how a plant works. Those are the parts of it, and that's what it makes up. So every plant you see, every one of them, essentially has all of those elements. It may not look like it. This doesn't look like it has a stem, but I promise it does. It's only about that big at the very bottom. This doesn't look like it has a leaf, but I promise it does. The entire thing is a leaf. So they all work the same, but they look very, very different. And that's the incredible thing, is the amount of diversity in the plant world, yet everything kind of goes the same way. So much like our world, we've got a ton of diversity everywhere, and it's all necessary. That's one of the reasons why I love plants. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. It is awesome to be back. So good seeing you all. We'll see you tomorrow when we talk more about, I think, leaves, maybe roots. I don't know. I can't remember. See you tomorrow, everybody. Bye now.